As I approach my 60s, I am finding that career decisions, they seem to have more consequences. You're approaching 60. These could be the last major career decisions you go, affecting the rest of your life and what you leave behind. And that's kind of where I'm at with this AI situation because, a couple years ago, I was sitting in front of my computer, and you have to understand, I've been pretty close to the bleeding edge of technology for a very long time. Our first computer was, I think, that I had access to and worked on for school was, I think, a TRS-80. It was a used one at the time, and then we went to Commodore 64, and then we seemed to go. My dad seemed to start out with, a 286. Then by the time the 386s came out, I was in college. I got my first one secondhand. Then the 486s, 486 Pentiums, Pentium 2s. It just went on. My second career, I guess you could say, major career, was teaching technology in high school, and I did a little in junior college. I probably should have taken that ACE Adobe certification program so I could teach more in college, but the college courses just didn't pay that much compared to what I was teaching in high school. Digital media, webmastering, stuff like that. I was coding websites before HomeSite got bought out by Dreamweaver. Not the cutting edge. I was always a little bit behind, but, I was up there. And about a few years ago, I was sitting in front of the computer trying to learn Fusion 360 and recognizing that while I have a lot of prior knowledge, I'm back at the beginning learning new things. They change it all the time. I think this new style of web-based software that just changes on a dime with no thing makes education of it so hard because you just can't keep up with the changes. So as a student, you're just frustrated. I was sitting there thinking that I'm approaching 60 soon. I will always be mediocre at this. I can spend all my time learning it to get even better than mediocre, but then the technology is going to change or something new is going to come along, and I would just rather take what I'm somewhat good at and maybe get really good at it. Something I can leave a legacy behind on that one. So that is when I literally, I had paid for this big course. I was in the middle of it. I was frustrated and just thinking, why? I wasn't enjoying it. So, I just logged off. I literally put this basic CNC machine I had that I'd been using, you've seen it on the video, up for sale, and I haven't looked back with no regrets. I think we are at an inflection point based upon what I know started back when I was in college. I was on the 14-year program and I graduated in the early 2000s. What I've been thinking about, it started then. And it's been progressing. And then the last few years, we've been kind of joking about how AI is going to take over all white-collar jobs, all that kind of stuff. Your doctors, they're referring to it. But it really hasn't really sunk into my head that content creation might be just completely devastated. And then a few years ago, we started seeing results of them telling AI to just make video. And, it was kind of a joke. But Marquez from Marquez Brownlee, I forget off the top of my head the channel. But he said that is the worst it's going to get. And that kind of put a seed in my mind. Those original things of Will Smith eating spaghetti. Look it up. It's just hilarious. But then last week, Google launched that VO3, I'm not even sure I'm pronouncing that, in that same prompt, make a video of Will Smith eating spaghetti. That inflection point is now. It's not in the future. It's now. inexpensive software available to the masses, inexpensive for what it's doing, can create videos that I have a hard time telling the difference. And now it's creating sound, speech, vocabulary. Look at all the samples there are, not just that Will Smith eating spaghetti, though I think it's kind of funny. The spaghetti is definitely undercooked in that one because it's crunchy. But, you know, these street scenes, these videos of people doing interviews, these sportscasters, all that kind of stuff. And it really has me thinking and in contemplating it. My head tells me that AI is just going to completely make DIY content creation financially unviable. And it might be even better. It might be good for the craft that it does that. The fact that it makes better content might make more people go up the learning curve faster than what's out there now. But long term, we're talking generations, it might be worse. And let me kind of clarify that. I'm going to explain my thinking for one simple reason. I don't have the answers. I can't read the future. This is just what my thinking, based on facts I'm seeing out there, what other experts are talking about, is leading me to believe. And I'm really hoping that in the comments, people smarter than me might be able to add to this conversation. Better yet, I am hoping that y'all will go out there and give hints to all these podcasts out there that maybe this is a subject they should talk about, because I listen to just about all of them in my production work as mindless entertainment, and I'd like to hear smarter people than my opinion on the subject matter. But let me frame my thoughts real quickly. For the last couple of years, I've had this kind of analogy of DIY content creation. You are either telling an adventure story or you're writing a textbook. I mean, if you think about it, most videos are out there, follow the path of Indiana Jones. We have a goal. We found a plan. We designed a plan out there. We gathered our materials. We gathered our themes. We started down the progression. Oh no, a gypsy curses on us. Oh no, gremlins start coming in the thing. We start messing stuff up. We have to rebuild stuff. Oh no, Nazis come over there. The design isn't working. You know, the finish isn't working. You overcome obstacles along the path. And then when you reach the treasure, you complete it, you get the nice money shot and all that kind of stuff, and there's conflict resolution at the end. That is an adventure story. It brings you into it. You feel part of it. Psychologically, it's almost as if you are there doing the work. Okay? That is the majority of content out there, and quite frankly, that's probably the most popular content out there. That's the content I enjoy out there. And then you have DIY content that's more of a textbook. How to hold a chisel, how to adjust a saw, how to do this, how to do this. It's more written in second person versus first or third person, if that makes sense to you. So, with that in mind, I truly believe in my head that AI is going to make DIY content creation. It's just going to take over. On the flip side, in my heart, it says there's no way it can do it. And both of those opposing views can be true at the same time. Here's my point. Nobody is going to care about an AI adventure story. This is the poor creator's reality TV. You're putting it in documenting real life. The moment the audience realizes that it's fake, the luster's gone, okay? You're watching somebody restore a vintage tool from a rusty thing to a chrome polished thing, and you realize it's AI. Who cares? It's all fake. Somebody doing that hard work, really great. John Mallet, okay? I know he's really found a niche lately in this unboxing stuff. You know, I bought a crate of tools. Am I getting crap or stuff like that? It's kind of funny. I hate to say it, you're a little bit hate watching it. You're going, did he spend all this money and get screwed? I mean, did he get stolen? You see a video like that that you know is 100% AI, who cares? Once the public understands that, the magic's gone. Nobody's going to watch it. It's the fact that it's happening to a real person. A real person is doing it, makes all the difference in the world. So AI could never take over DIY content, right? Flip side. Tell you what, I'll get to the flip side after a comment from this video's sponsor. FYI, the sponsor's me. Look, up in the sky. It's a bird. It's a plane. No, it's just a super example of a woodworking mallet. So it'll... with the best of them. All of this thanks to a tapering head design that shifts the striking point's sweet spots closer to the tail of the thing, allowing for more striking area, a slight curvature to the head, which increases that sweet spot and also enables a comfortable fit in the main use position of it. That includes a nice curvature for your pinky and curvature for your palm. The handle is designed with a shift point, a ball that fits close to the center but not quite, to keep your hand closer to the head of the unit, and allows a very loose grip over all-day use so you can swing the mallet without tiring over time. A ball section to prevent it from sliding out, and also a domed head so that not only does it sit flat, but in your fine carving strikes will not slip. Which makes this the greatest medium weight, hard maple, general purpose, all around bench carving mallet in existence. Made by Wortheffort. Okay, AI is going to take over DIY content creation. In college, I remember Google came out with a program where they are archiving books, working with libraries so that they could index, archive, do that optical character recognition software. And I remember back then because it was messing up a lot of stuff out there, but they refined it fairly quickly. And they have just been archiving books ever since then. There's been a few glitches legally as far as artists reckon, but they're still doing it. They're archiving libraries left and right. It was a Google initiative, if I am correct. Will Smith eating spaghetti was a text prompt. Get that. They gave it a text prompt. Make a video of Will Smith eating spaghetti, and that's what you get. Imagine the resource that AI has with the intellectual equivalent of books going back to the 1800s in our craft, the hand tool woodworking craft, that kind of stuff. What kind of stuff can they draw upon? And the thing about AI is it can draw information from different resources much better than we can. Can you imagine going in and typing, how do you sharpen a chisel? Some of the most popular videos all of us creators have done, those sharpening videos, they can give you a very succinct video. They could probably do an animation explaining it. Don't even have to have a real person here explaining how to sharpen a chisel with no fluff, no extra stuff out there. And then they can bring in, feel for the burr. That burr is caused by the fluid dynamics of steel. Get that. They can bring in other educational aspects. They can talk about metallurgy and stuff like that very succinctly. They could dumb it down to a thing. And here is the real kicker. Because, and I am basically assuming that Google will be publishing this kind of stuff because they have the access to the text. It would basically cost them nothing, and they would control the database. They could revise their videos. they could publish that how to sharpen a chisel and just write software, revisit that video in 2 months. Where in the video did the viewership go down? Where in the video did the people redo stuff? And basically say, well, if they're rewatching it, maybe they're not getting something. Let's explain that better. Let's bring a little bit more information there because that's where they were interested. These lulls, let's figure out a way to bring the viewership up to hold the interest more. And then they can republish that video over the original one. Continually make them better and better and better. So in the end, you get viewerships that are just outrageously out because it's just been refined to the nth degree. And then they can say, well, if videos are, this video is really popular, let's break it down more. And they can find out what people are typing questions on. And refine videos targeting those questions, giving ancillary branches, that kind of stuff. And really doing stuff that we have a hard time doing as individual creators, because I know that I don't know that much about metallurgy and liquid dynamics, flow of steel, all that kind of stuff, but there are people out there that have. They've written textbooks about it, and Google has archived those textbooks, and it's a simple matter of the AI referencing already known information. Yeah. I think they could do a more succinct job of textbook-style videos for this TikTok generation that just wants to get the information and get out and get to work. They will enjoy the adventure stories at a later date when they know they can do it. Now, both my analogy and predictions, I recognize, are extremes. People who make online content, they aren't totally making adventure stories. They're adding a little in textbook information there. Those that are making textbook videos, they're adding a little bit of flourish to it to keep the entertainment value there, to keep the interest there, to keep people wanting to come back to their channel. But man, I could really see the elementary school education of woodworkers or any other craft really ramped up with the efficient education these AIs could bring to the table. The question would be, if you no longer have people like me and others creating future textbooks with the latest generation, maybe in 20 or 50 years they kind of run out of information that they could access to create videos. There's nothing new out there on hand tools, but there's such a wealth of information. Would that really matter? So there are decisions as content creators have to make. How do we navigate what's coming, which we don't really know, but we can predict? And one of the reasons why I think this is happening now versus later, besides the latest Will Smith eating spaghetti video, is if you follow me on Instagram, you might have seen me post something that YouTube was putting up there. It was a comment that they were saying that they were, when we upload an ad, a video, and we allow YouTube to place ads so that we can make money off of it, basically we have two different choices. We can let the Google decide where they want to place ads on it. And I have no way of knowing how they choose. I think it's just looking for sound breaks. Because in my videos, which a lot of times are 45 minutes an hour, every time I've allowed Google to choose the ads, they'll put 20 or 30 different ad breaks in it, which is ridiculous. But if you look at it, Google's point, it doesn't really matter. If you watch 8 minutes of one of my hour-long videos and you get hammered with 3 ads, that you watch the full ads or enough to skip it and stuff like that, well, they've sold those 3 ads, right? Whereas how I set it up is I would do one ad probably in the first 4 to 5 minutes, and then every 15 minutes after, because that's how I grew up watching television. You would generally have an ad after the little logos of the sitcom and some first initial joke setting up the premise, and then halfway through the sitcom, and then one at the end. So every 15 minutes, it seemed fair to me because that's how I grew up. And I would format my videos with some kind of natural break where I could allow them to do it. Now, the thing with Google is they say you can give us permission to place an ad there. That doesn't mean we will place an ad there. It just depends upon their background. And they're thinking, what they say is, if we put 20 ad breaks in a video, we might not use them all, but we have the opportunity to use them all. And what I found is when you allow them to do that, that they will use the opportunity at the very beginning of the videos, because that's when most people are watching it before they click away. Well, a couple months ago, they told all us creators that have a back catalog, and how this has worked out for me over the years, because I think it's approaching 15 years for me, is we've developed a back catalog. And that back catalog gets a very consistent amount of views. It might fluctuate with the seasons, but you compare to year, the back catalog gets consistent views. And it's turned out to be somewhat of a consistent paycheck because of that. In fact, these past few years, I found that, normally a good video of mine will earn me about $50 to $100 in ads. If it's really, really good. We're talking 20 to 30,000 views in that first month. That's worth about 100, maybe even $200 if it's really popular month out there. But that's on top of, let's just put a round number out there, $1,000 for your back catalog plus a couple $100 per video you put out, $50 to $100. So it doesn't, adding more videos to your back catalog doesn't really increase your monthly check. It just kind of adds to it. But you have to keep adding to the back catalog, because the back catalog does have a slight down curve if you don't do anything. But it's become really consistent these past 5 years. Get that. 15 years developing a back catalog, it starts to get consistent after 10 years of it. Well, a couple months ago, YouTube asked all creators who had this back catalog that we want to convert all your back catalog to the setup where we choose the number of ads. And as a test, the next few videos I uploaded, I let them choose. And once again, they would put 20 or 30 ads on my video. I just thought it was a thing. So I declined that. And I didn't think anything about it. I just said that I'm choosing better for me. It's a better situation for me to not inundate my customers with a lot of videos that forces them to click away, go to another video that they are inundated in, they'll click away after 8 minutes, go to another video that they're inundated after 8 minutes and click away, instead of watching 1 hour-long video that doesn't give them that many ads. You can see which one's more valuable to YouTube. I didn't really think about it, but the moment I clicked that little button saying I don't want to opt into that program, my back catalog views went to about 20% of what they were the previous year. And they've been that way. Normally you might get 1 month where it goes down for whatever reason. Maybe it's just an accounting thing on YouTube side. But it's been consistently that 20% from the previous year. So I have a feeling that might have been a litmus test of which creators they wanted to keep around for what they were about to do, which they launched last week with that VO3. There's something going on there, and I don't know what it is. And it's infecting me because whenever I stopped doing this CNC stuff, I kind of had a decision that if I'm not going to progress down that area, I'm not going to be doing a lot of mass production work. My income is based on 3 legs of a stool, standard things. You have YouTube money, you have my production woodworking money, and then I was going to be using that CNC stuff out there to instead of my retail working art markets because of COVID and all that kind of stuff was hampering everything. Well, I could go back to retail work for my 3rd leg, but at that time I kind of thought of an idea of a whole new business unrelated to this, and I'm kind of to the point going down that path. Don't worry, if I go down that path, I'm going to have to build a lot of stuff, which is going to create education opportunities to create really cool videos, but the business is not really associated with woodworking. It's associated with my first career back in the 90s and aughts. And I'm within a few weeks of signing a mortgage-sized loan for that kind of stuff. So I'm looking out there for inspiration to figure out how are we going to navigate two of my income legs, so to speak, with AI. And I don't have the answer. Yes, I believe AI is going to make it financially unviable to create DIY textbook style content for the simple reason they will be able to do it better. They are not constrained with having to place your camera in front of your head and work your tools around it on a power lathe, looking through the sensor, the screen, in order to see what you're doing work, just to be able to capture the perfect angle that shows what you're talking about. They are not constrained with any of the physically recording aspects they can have. They can take sharpening a chisel and zoom into the physical edge and show curls coming up and explaining that fluid dynamics of steel. They can do stuff that we physically cannot do, and they can bring a lot more resources to the equation. They can review and remake the same stuff over and over to refine it, to make it even better, where we can't. We just have to make a whole new video and either take down the old one and hope the new one takes off. There's just so many advantages that the AI have for creating textbook style content. There's no way AI will be able to compete with adventure style content. The answer is both right in front of my face and something I just don't like. So, I'm opening up the discussion to y'all. I'm hoping y'all will put stuff out there and encourage other people to discuss this. So maybe we can figure out a common path to fight the robots. Hope this was a little bit entertaining to y'all. Be safe, have fun, and remember, it's always worth the effort to learn, create stuff, and share it with others, even if the robots might do it better in the very near future.